Hey guys, and welcome back. So today we're going to be talking about the DJI Mini 4 Pro, and this is a upgrade to the existing Mini 3 Pro. And I say upgrade just because a lot of it is similar, but they did do a good job of adding some new features and some extra stuff in here. So we're going to take a look and see what's in the box, and then we're going to see if it's worth the upgrade or not. Okay, so let's talk about the drone for a second. So the drone, the new addition I see right off the bat is it comes with a branded DJI propeller guard. This is nice because in the past I always had to buy my own, and now it comes included. And this is nice for anybody who puts this in a case or in your backpack. You don't want the propellers to be loose because then you're risking causing damage to the propellers. The second thing I see is the gimbal guard. So the gimbal guard before used to kind of only protect the gimbal at the bottom. But as you can see from this new one now, it actually protects the sensors on the side, at least in the front. The sensors in the back are still exposed. The second thing I notice is the drone in terms of mechanisms look the same. Same battery. The vents, obviously you can see here, are black. Not much difference from the original one. Still in the same location. The big difference I see is obviously the placement of the sensors. So the sensors used to be pointing straight forward and pointing straight back. So you had forward sensor, rear sensor, and bottom sensor. So this new version now has the same amount of sensors, which is probably ideal just to keep the weight down. But what you can see is the placement of the sensors have changed. So the sensors now, instead of being straight forward and backwards, they're on an angle, which gives the drone the ability to have 360 obstacle avoidance. I'm just showing you guys all the way around, and there's the bottom sensors there. A new addition as well is there's a light now at the bottom. You see this little light here, and that helps when it's coming in for a landing or in dark situations. It can illuminate the ground. So apart from the drone, you obviously get the new controller as well. This new controller looks very similar. The biggest difference I see right away is that the thumbsticks used to be stored at the bottom, and now they're stored here at the back. And obviously you can see that this now has external antennas, where the old controller for the Mini 3, if you got the one that looks like this, they didn't have any external antennas. So from what I heard, this is supposed to give you a lot better signal. And it's supposed to perform a lot better than the original controller. So I'll do some testing throughout the week and see if this is true or not. Other than that, the only other things that I saw in the box is you're going to get a USB-C to USB-C transferring cable. You're going to get a little mini screwdriver, and you're going to get a set of propellers replacements in case something gets damaged with the original ones. And of course you get your little manual here for the quick start guide, and probably warranty information. Okay, so just before I continue, I just wanted to show you guys a little comparison. So on this side over here we have the Mini 3 Pro, and over here we have the Mini 4 Pro. There is a couple of small little differences, and there's things that are obviously the same. So here's a better look at that propeller guard. And like I said, this one here is not something you usually get with it, so it's a nice new little addition that they've added. And the way it clamps is on the side over here. You'll see there's like a little watch band type pin, and this little pin just kind of goes into that hole there, and that'll hold it into place. So again, nice new addition. It wasn't included before, but now they've included it, which is great. Second thing to note is the batteries. So if you already own a Mini 3 and you were thinking about upgrading to the 4, these batteries do work on both. And I know because I just tested it out and it was working fine. So if you have extra spare batteries for the older one, or if you wanted to keep and just switch them over, these batteries do work on both drones, which is great. Now, before I get to the drones, I just want to take a quick look at these controllers. So this is the older controller, and as you can see, if I put them side by side, there isn't really much of a difference between the two. If I flip them on the back, you'll see again, not much difference. Everything is in the same location. The buttons are in the same place. The holder for the thumb pads are in the same location. The only difference is this one has a better ventilation fan here at the bottom, which this one does not. And if you look at the bottom, here's one small difference I noticed. Here where you have the USB-C connection and the memory card reader connection, this is exposed. Or if you look at the older controller, you actually had like a little flap here that you could open, and the memory card slot was underneath this, and another USB-C. So this controller, the older one, had 2 USB-Cs and 1 memory card slot. This newer controller only has 1 of each. So again, that's one new difference. This one does have a ventilation slot. It's just a little bit higher up than this one. This one has it more at the bottom. Maybe it's better, I don't know, but this one has 2, like a slot up here and the grill at the bottom. So the other thing I've noticed as well is if you look at the top, obviously this one here does not have antennas. It has the 2 little rotating wheels and the 2 buttons. One is color coded, one is not. And if you look at this one, you'll see they're both color coded. It has the 2 wheels, they're just black in color instead of being the silver, and it has the 2 antennas that stick out. Now if you look at them side by side, you probably noticed already, and this is a little bit odd, but the drone colors seem to be the same, like a light silver color, a light gray. This controller, the older one, matched the drone color a lot better, as you can see. But the new controller seems to have a little bit of a darker color to it. So it doesn't really match this drone. You'll see that the color is a little bit different, and it doesn't match this drone. I think the reason for it is because this controller here is also being used on the Air 3. That may be the reason why it has that darker color. But it doesn't really make any difference. It's just cosmetic. It still works great as far as I know. People prefer this controller over the older one anyways. But yeah, so those are the differences I've seen from those. If we look now at the drones, like I said, we have the sideways sensors on the front and on the kind of on the rear of the little hump. And then on the back, we have the same slots. We have the USB-C and the card reader. That's the battery at the bottom. And then this one here had the addition of the extra light plus the bottom sensors. You can see that. And then obviously everything else seems to be the same in terms of the gimbal. The propellers themselves, they seem to have the same pattern and they look the same. So if anybody bought a combo kit or if they had any extra spare propellers, they do work on both. Now if we look at the Mini 3, you can see the difference. So here's the forward-facing sensors. You can see they're quite large and pointing straight forward. And here you see the rear ones. You see they're kind of hidden, but they're pointing straight back, no sides. And then the rest of it kind of looks the same. There's the ports on the back. And then here's the bottom. So the bottom has the 2 downward-facing sensors, but like I said, this doesn't have the light. So we're just going to take a quick look at the website, and I just wanted to hit on a couple of points, things that I see that are new additions. Once you go to DJI.com, you'll be greeted with this page, and the first thing they're promoting here is the Mini 4 Pro. So once we click on it, like I said, I'll just kind of go down here because I know there's a comparison at the bottom. First thing they're advertising is it's under 249 grams. And for those of you who don't know, if a drone is over 249 grams, in most places you have to register the drone and have some sort of pilot certification. If it's under 249 grams, in most countries you do not have to register the drone. The next thing is the 4K 60 frame HDR true vertical shooting. So this is the same as the previous version. There is something different with the camera, which we'll touch on later. But the 4K 60 frames, that's the max resolution, which is the same as the Mini 3. Omnidirectional obstacle sensing. This is obviously new because we have the sensors that now have that sideways facing, which gives you that 360 obstacle avoidance. And again, there's a couple of other features that tie in with this, so it's great that they've included in this new drone. Down here we have extended battery life. So you'll notice here they have a 34-minute and a 45-minute. The one that comes with the drone is a 34-minute, and to be honest, that's the one that I usually use, and it's great. It keeps the drone's weight under 249 grams. If you go with the 45-minute, it is an extra cost. You do have to buy another battery. It will give you more flight time, but it will also increase your weight to over 249 grams, which at that point you'll have to register the drone. The remote control, as we've touched on before, this one now, because it has the external antennas, is giving you 20-kilometer high-definition video transmission. And again, once we look at the comparison at the bottom, you'll see the difference. And again, because of the obstacle avoidance, the 360, now we have active track 360, which is something maybe I'll try out throughout the week and see how it works. But from the videos and what I've seen, it looks really good. So let's keep going down. You can see here they're kind of touching on the point that it has these sideways sensors, and again, this is big because it opens up the doors for a lot more features to be available on the Mini. We keep going down. There's a 249 grams. In terms of the sensor size, again, not much has changed, but there is two differences which we'll touch on later. This is the 4K 60 frames. So this is one difference with the camera. The camera itself now has its own built-in processing, which enhances the night footage. So a lot of you know with an image this small, when you shoot night footage, it's not the greatest. It usually comes out with grain, and there's a lot more processing that has to go into it. What they've done is they've made it smarter in terms of looking at the image and clearing a lot of that grain out for you. So the video footage you get now out of the camera is a lot better when you're shooting in low light situations. Okay, the raw footage is the same. Here they talk about large angle tilt, and what that is really, it's just saying that the gimbal is able to tilt upwards and downwards, and now you have more ways to shoot since it has a higher angle of tilt upwards. True vertical shooting is not new. We've had this already in the previous version. And the digital zoom. So digital zoom, I've used it in the past. I'm not a big fan of it. Optical is obviously better than digital, but if you don't have a choice, it's great to have it on there. So again, here's the two batteries that you can purchase, 34 and 45. And as we go down, there's a 20-kilometer transmission. So here, let's touch on these. Waypoints. This is a new feature for this drone, and again, it's due to the fact that it has the 360 obstacle avoidance. You can program a pre-destined flight plan, and it will just follow that flight plan and keep recording. You have the ability to use the cruise control, so just like your car, you're able to kind of take off and fly in a certain speed and direction, and if you turn this on, it'll maintain it throughout the rest of the flight. And then you have the new advanced return to home. So again, because of the obstacle avoidance being 360, it is smarter when returning to home. It can navigate around obstacles and everything like that. So it's a lot safer. As we go down, you'll see here they're talking about the 360 active track, which again is something I want to try out. This looks really good. A little bit more intuitive with the design of the built-in app. And as we go down, here they're talking about the quick shots and the shots that are built in, which are automatic. We still have the master shot, which is a great feature from the previous drones. Quick shots. This hasn't really changed much for a couple of years now. I mean, we still have Droney, Circle, Helix, Rocket, Boomerang, and the Asteroid modes. If DJI is listening, we need something new here, because these are great for beginners, but it would be nice to see something new. So hyperlapse, it's not new, but you're able to use it with waypoints, circle, and course lock, which is good. Again, these things all kind of tie into each other. So panorama, now it supports shooting in 180 degrees wide angle and in vertical and sphere panoramic photos. The quick transfer, this was also from the older drone, so it's just the ability to transfer data from the remote or from the drone directly to your phone at a very quick speed. And then they touch on Lightcut, which is an app that they use to do editing straight from the drone. So they do have a couple of cool things. I've looked through this already. You can take your footage and they have intelligent sound effects. They have a bunch of templates that you can use to make it more artistic. I'm going to give this a shot as well because I don't believe I've used this before. And as I scroll down, this is what I wanted to show you guys. So if you're unsure which drone is right for you, or if you wanted just to compare, this little chart here at the bottom gives you a comparison of their, I guess, 4 main drones. So you have the Air 3, you have the Mini 3, the Mini 3 Pro, and the Mini 4 Pro. So if you take a look at this, it'll give you a better understanding of the price points and the features that they offer you. So right now, the only thing I want to do is compare the 4 and the 3, because a lot of you guys may already own the 3 and want to upgrade to the 4. So if we look at the weight is the same, the sensor is the same, the difference comes in down here. So 4K 60 is the max on both, but you have the addition of slow motion at 4K 100 frames on the new Mini 4 and the night shot video. On the 3, you only had slow motion at 1080 with 120 frames. In terms of the modes you can shoot in, the older model, the 3, had the D-Cinelite, if you like to do your own editing. And the Mini 4 now offers the ability to shoot with 10-bit D-Log and HLG. And then they talk about the sensors. So again, this is a big deal because the old one only had forward, backward, down. And they had APAS 4.0 and the smart return to home. With the ability now of having the 360, now we have the APAS 5.0 with advanced return to home, waypoint flights, and the cruise control. Now those are all additions. And then when we talk about the controller, the older one had a 12-kilometer range with 1080p at 30 frames live feed. The new controller now offers 20 kilometers, 1080p at 60, and that's just due to having the external antennas and having a better connection to the drone. Alright guys, so that brings us to the end of this video. I apologize for the video quality. I'm in the middle of some transitioning, so I know it's not the greatest. When I have my new setup, it'll look a lot better. I hope this was informative and you learned something from it. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next one.